the adjudicating for Gurukul debating summer camp. So what I'm going to do is define the format, tell you what it entails, and you might have questions in between, which is where we can use the chat box if it's not too immediate to for you to understand the things that are to come afterwards. But if you have a very immediate doubt, you can ask, please. I'd be more than happy to clarify. With that, let's just begin with the things that we are going to cover. First of all, I'll just explain the format of the USDC.
Go ahead, Nitish.
Basically, first of all, we will be covering the format that is going to be used yesterday. It's the WSDC format. It has some rules in terms of how speaker roles are supposed to be and how you're supposed to mark individuals, the marking range, etc., all of which I'm going to cover. Secondly, we'll be talking about the categories of participants, which means that both younger and older individuals are going to be accommodated. So it has to be done through bifurcation in the form of categories, which is what we have facilitated. And then the rounds that are going to happen are also prepared. So we have motions beforehand, which we can get you to be privy to so that you have like access to them. So before all of that though, here's the schedule for tomorrow. It's also been shared on the group. So the entire program starts at 9. This is when registration is going to happen, check-ins will happen. And these are all the names of the coordinators so that you can situate yourself tomorrow without any hassle. So yeah, probably I just stay on the slide and you can go through this for a minute or something and then I'll change. So 9:20 is debater briefing, which is where again debaters will once again be told about the structure, format, scoring, draw released as in which side is prop, opposition, all of that should happen by 9:30, which is when round one for the junior category begins, junior category being students from 6th to 8th grades. And this is definitely going to be happening in 5 different rooms because of the number of teams that we have. Each room is going to have a different coordinator as a teacher, and then alongside them will be one experienced adjudicator who will be chairing the round. So the chair is the one who is going to fill the ballot and who is going to deliver what is called an oral adjudication. Oral adjudication is just me as an adjudicator telling the debaters why I gave the debate to a particular side as opposed to the other. So just justifying my verdict basically is what oral adjudication is. That's not something that the teachers are being told to do because we understand you're new to the format. So you will only be like panelists who can fill the ballot, but not like probably deliver OAs. So
yeah, but this is a good opportunity that, I mean, when you finish a debate, it'll be a good 5-minute exercise to calibrate that, okay, you know what, I have given this score and why would you have given it higher or low? So we are just literally treating this as a quick dry run to your future tournaments. Okay, please carry on.
Yes. And the rest of the day is as follows. So again, check-ins will happen. And this is again for the senior category matches. Junior category will be concluded as is posited in the last slide. So 11:40 a.m. to 12:40 a.m. is when senior category matches should happen simultaneously in 5 different rooms. Again, same drill as to how there's going to be one like teacher accompanied by one chair. Both of who will be will judge, but only one will deliver OA, which is the chair. And then closing ceremony happens 1 p.m. onwards.
Yeah, Meenakshi ma'am, just one thing that I did want to mention is that you've already identified which of the room is going to be the main room where the announcements can happen, right? The physics lab.
Yes, this is going to be the main room, wherein all the what we have done, Anjali, that we would be doing registration at the backside of this room, and in the same room we will be going ahead with the briefing, and then they will be moving to their respective sessions in the allocated rooms. Yes. It has already been identified.
Perfect. So what is going to happen is, I think the pairing of the teams and the draw release is what is going to happen tomorrow, which Afreen will share. Okay.
Fine. Yeah.
All right. Should I continue?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the format. I think this is probably the most important thing because this is what determines what your ballot is going to look like, as in how you're supposed to mark and who you're supposed to mark. So the WSDC format is a team format, which means that you have 2 teams in one room, and one team is proposition, the other is opposition. They are given a motion. So of course, the team that is on proposition is going to support the motion, and the one on opposition opposes the motion. That's what the contestation is. But in terms of how what one team comprises of, is that there are three speakers, and in such a way that they only get one time, like they won't get one speech in the entirety of the debate to deliver their stance, but it is always related to the other speakers' speeches as well. This means that they are like together preparing on the motion, and then when they come prepared to the room, it's always complementary to each other's speeches, like their speech is complementary to the others. This means that if you're on the government side, the speeches that you have as the like on government is this: the prime minister's speech, the deputy prime minister's speech, the government whip speech, and government reply. These four speeches are going to be there on proposition side. Likewise, the equivalent of these on opposition would be the leader of opposition speech, the deputy leader of opposition speech, opposition whip, and opposition reply. A couple of clarifications then. PM and LO speech are supposed to set up the debate, give you context, explain what arguments you can expect from the debate on their side. D supposed to elaborate the arguments that the first speaker said and defend them from the other speakers of the other side. Whip speakers are supposed to almost give you a biased adjudication where they tell you why their side is winning, and this is called weighing. So they compare their side to the other side and tell you why their side still wins regardless of the attacks from the other side. So that's what the whip speeches fundamentally are expected to do in the debate. So yes, I think it's pretty simple. This is the sequence in which
I'm just going to demystify this one more layer. So the children will be called upon. So the adjudicator or the ugly chair will sort of say, okay, here, I call the first speaker. So if you think about it, the proposition side has got alternate speakers: prime minister, deputy prime minister, and government whip. 1, 2, 3 speakers are from one team, which is side proposition, and leader of opposition, deputy leader of opposition, and opposition whip is on the other side. So the ugly adjudicator will automatically call them on. And the students have been explained this, that you are the first speaker, which means you are the prime minister. You're the first speaker of opposition, which means you are the leader of opposition. So that, please be rest assured. Hopefully our training should stand that test. But what Nitisha is also elaborating is the fact that from a difference of the role, the whip speakers, the third speakers of both the teams, are supposed to be able to analyze both the sides of the debate and tell us why the clashes happened and why they win. They have to make the case, this is why we win, right? So that's the point she was making. Because, and Nitisha, what you could also do for this group is just after this call, just tell them the expectations of the speaker roles from what Afreen has trained them on, right? So that the teachers can also consume them at their own time. Yeah, please carry on the reply speeches.
All right, just a couple of clarifications then. The order is slightly changed if you look at the reply speeches. So all of this will be managed by the chair. You don't even have to like call the speakers as such, but just for your clarification, mostly you will see alternative speeches from one side. So like you have one speech from the other side in between, but here things change, right? So like opposition whip, and then another opposition speech soon after the first, like another. So these are consecutive opposition speeches. This happens only in the case of reply speeches. So it is the government side that ends the debate and starts it. So that this is why this slight change is made, where alternative speeches are not as such mandated, and two opposition speeches can consecutively feature. So that's that, just so you are not confused about how the order changed. Yeah, I think speaker roles, that's pretty much it. That's how it's going to be. The duration is going to change for different category of speakers for their ease, which I'm going to cover with another slide. Okay, so while this debate is on, what can also happen is that points of information can be asked and received. This means that while I'm delivering a speech, I could be a deputy speaker, a whip speaker from whichever side. My opposition team, like the members in the opposition team, can ask me a question. It doesn't matter which member of the opposition is going to ask me a question, any of them can. And I am supposed to either accept that POI or decline it. So the way of doing it is that if I'm delivering my speech, so on and so forth, and in between, the opposition wants to ask me a question. In that case, they'll give me a show of hands, and I'd either say no, thank you, or like I decline your POI, or I'll take it, according to which they will either ask the question or not. So that's how POIs work. Most of what you need to know about POI is already on the screen. I'll just quickly iterate that. POI is the question that is offered to your opponents. It's as simple as that. You can't ask a POI to your own teammate for obvious reasons. The question should be short and simple. This means that a POI cannot be a very long one. It has to be grabbed within 15 seconds so that the speaker's time is not eaten into. Because POIs are not asked before or after the speech. They're always asked during the speech, during the speaker speaking. So that it's not too disruptive for the speaker, we ensure that POIs are only 15 seconds long. POI can be offered as per the preference of the speaker, like I said. I mean, this is mostly also for like online debates. So in offline debates, you can either say verbal POI, as in just say it out loud that I have a POI in the middle of the round, or you can actually go ahead and raise your hand and the other speaker will acknowledge you and say, okay, I'll take your POI or I won't. POIs can be, yes.
You will be amazed that, in grades 4 to 6 in the tournaments, we have students who say POI. So, we also get surprised by how much these guys can get comfortable with it. So we added the thrill to say, okay, go ahead and ask a question, especially because these are prepared motions. They have had time to prepare, right? Both sides, which means that they've thought through the topic. So when they're listening to somebody's speech, they can sort of say, listen, I have a question. Okay, so this is good. Okay. Nitisha, let's go ahead.
Right. So, yeah, deny and reject the POI is all about it being optional, something that I've already specified. So this is about the people who can like the categories within the tournament. This means that category bifurcation exists for multiple reasons. One, because speaking time for different categories is different. So for instance, junior category will comprise of 6th and 8th grade, 6th to 8th grade students, which means that their speeches, which is like the Prime Minister, Leader of Opposition, Deputy speeches, and Whip speeches, will be 4 minutes long, all of those speeches. But the reply speech is slightly different. It will only be of like 1 minute. So constructive speeches, the first 6 speeches will be constructive. These are 4 minutes long. And the last reply speeches, last 2 speeches are only a minute long. For the senior category, it changes, which is the 9th and 10th grade students. They are going to deliver the speeches for 6, like the duration is going to be 6 minutes. But again, the reply speech is again going to be only 2 minutes. So the last 2 speeches are going to be 2 minutes long. The rest of the speeches, the constructive speeches are 6 minutes long. That's the differentiation between the 2 categories. Another important, significant differentiation between the 2 categories is the motion and the level of complexity of this motion that they're going to like debate on. Junior category is supposed to
just go behind once. I'll just say this aloud for the teachers once to visualize this. So for the junior category, imagine we've got 6 speakers, 4 minutes each. They are all going to say, so 24 minutes of that and 1 minute for the reply speech. So 25 minutes is the debate time. 2-3 minutes, 5 minutes is the calibration time, and 10 minutes is the oral adjudication. So slot 1 ghante ka hoga, we like that fact that the children ask questions, that give me feedback for me, give me feedback for my team, so we've catered for at least 20 minutes on that, breather time, right? And similarly for the senior grades, you will see 6 minutes, which is 6 into 636 plus 2 minutes of reply speech, 38 minutes of deck. And that's why this one tends to take a little longer. So we must try to start on time. They will finish within the 1 hour slot that we've given them, right? We sort of cater to that. Yeah, please carry on, Nitiksha, next.
All right, so I was discussing the motions. For junior category, the motion for tomorrow reads, this house supports the commercialization of space, and space as in like space travel and Elon Musk related affairs. So this house supports the commercialization of space is the proposition supporting the stance, which means that they're going to support it. Opposition is going to say that no, commercialization is bad for like whatever myriad reasons they can find. And the process remains the same as has been explained to you. Likewise, for the senior category, the motion is this house as an intelligent but poor student would pursue vocational education over a traditional college degree. So this is called an actor motion. Here, the slight difference here is that you are particularly debating as an intelligent but poor student. This means that you always have to keep in mind the interest of an intelligent but poor student while you're debating on this motion. In the junior category motion, it's simpler because you can debate on it from anyone's perspective. You can debate on it from the state government's perspective, from any private actor's perspective, such as Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos, or you can debate on it from an environmentalist's perspective. But senior category is slightly complicated because you're tied down to a particular stakeholder. You're supposed to unfold the debate from that vantage point. So that's how we distinguish between levels of complexity. And these are what the motions are for the different categories, just so you know them beforehand while you like entering the debate room.
So the draws will be given tomorrow, which means that whether they are doing proper side proposition, side opposition will be given to them tomorrow. And that's what makes it very interesting. Okay, good. All right. And this is the
All right. So this is important. This is really important because the of scoring is slightly different as it is like in other formats where like you have equal weightage for style, content, strategy, whatever your parameters are. Here it's slightly different because the marking would start with like 60 and go up till 80, 80 being like an where the speaker didn't even speak for like let's say 30 seconds. So 60 is not a score, or 60 and 80 both actually are not scores that you give like without discretion. These are high end and low end scores which you give only when something is jarringly too good or too bad. Otherwise, average speaker score is 75. When you think the speech is slightly better than average, you give them a 76, 77, 78, and then 79 is also like between 75 and 80. And if you think it's below average, then you start going down from 75. So 75 is your benchmark for like average score. So that's that. Now, there's also a slight difference in how constructive speeches are marked as opposed to reply speeches. Constructive speeches are marked on this scale of 60 to 80, but reply speeches are exactly the half of that. So, like if I'm giving somebody an 80 for the constructive speech and the same person delivers a reply speech from their side, I'm going to give them 40, which is half of 80. So, reply speeches are supposed to be exactly the half of what you gave the speaker in their constructive speech. I hope that makes sense. And also, the reply speakers are not new speakers. This means that every speaker that you have in the constructive speeches, which is first speech, deputy, and whip, are going to be new speakers because there are 3 speakers in every team. But the reply speaker will be either the second speaker, the deputy, or the first speaker from that team itself. Because whip speakers cannot deliver reply speeches.
because
The
they would
third
have just
speakers
finished their
cannot.
speeches. So they would have just finished. So they
Sorry,
basically
what?
the first 2 can be the whip speakers. Okay.
Yeah.
So in that sense, I think it's
Because
very
no speaker can speak consecutively. That's the rule.
correct. Okay, I think hopefully we should have less exceptions, Nitisha, which means that we don't have to get into the iron person policy. But let's have that note circulated, working with Afreen, so that if an adjudicator suddenly has no show on a team, only 2 team members have turned up, then how will they handle the situation? Because I would assume that's the only anomaly that should happen. So ma'am, please, we are open to questions. I think you will find it comfortable to say we've got a rubric. Pass mark ye hai, exceptional marks ye hai, but please feel free to ask questions.
It's slightly difficult to gauge the pace at which you should go when you're dealing with absolutely novice adjudicators, but smart adults.
Yeah.
Some questions would tell us.
Please feel free to ask.
I think one thing, this format is actually children are well aware of that when are they going to speak and what is the consecutive if speakers are not going to be. I hope this has been covered during training.
Yes,
Yes, they'll probably be well versed with it.
Okay, and WSDC format remains, this is the actual format of WSDC which is internationally accepted. Like if they're participating in this format, it is going to be this way only. I hope it is like that.
But the speech time is modified. So like in the actual format at championships, you would have 8-minute long speeches. The speech time has been modified for the ease.
And this last time, like like after three speakers have the reply speeches are there, are they also the part of WSDC format, or it is something we have introduced over here for tomorrow? Like I'm talking about
the reply speeches are definitely a part of the format. Everything is a part of the format except for the speech time.
Okay.
Only the speech time has been modified. So right now, so for example, you're going to be training for Papillon Paris debate, Nitisha. That's 8 minutes, right?
8 minutes always, yeah. In every international tournament.
So she's just going to start it. So that's normally 8 minutes, ma'am.
Okay. Anything, Shweta, Vandana ma'am, Vinisha ma'am, if any question is there, you can please
No,
proceed so
I'm
that.
absolutely clear with the process. It's just that the judgment sheet that you've just shared. So we have those, but those as parameters, right? Style, delivery, the
Right.
one that you have shown us. So we'll get the
Yes,
paper.
yeah.
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 Okay.
So
You will get a ballot. Okay, I think this is something I should clarify. You will get a ballot paper. It will
Mhm.
ask you to give your verdict, which is it's a gov win or
We
an
were supposed to
opposition win.
share that with us, but she hasn't shared it yet. So
she
you
will
We'll
can.
be doing that. We will.
Okay.
be doing that.
Right.
Yeah. So basically, what it will look like on a paper is that you're going to have a space where you're supposed to enter the verdict, as in gov win, op win, and
Okay.
then below you will be given space for marking every speaker. Please
Okay.
don't give reply speeches like full numbers. Like I said, it has to be half of what the constructive speech
Half of
is.
what it has been.
That yeah, that's the only thing that might go wrong, and nothing else would go wrong. It'll be pretty self-explanatory.
Oh, okay. Yeah, rest is fine. Rest is completely fine. Because
So,
since we have been there, so we
one
understand.
clarity. I just got one question. Like, suppose the Gurukul teachers are sitting there, so their judgment would be the part of decision for tomorrow's debate, or are we going to take into picture only the educators' sheet for the judgment? This is one
So
from
okay,
they are trained
so
now.
the
I mean,
verdict of the chair would prevail. Whoever is chairing would prevail, but we will definitely tell them what the teacher's verdict was. So sometimes what happens is that I mean, if you win a round, you can also win it on a split. So let's say there are three adjudicators to give it to you. So you win on a split of 2-1. So we will clarify that split or unanimous call. Unanimous calls are more prestigious.
Tomorrow, because we have one Gurukul teacher and one chair, the
Yes.
chair can take their feedback into consideration, but their judgment will prevail, is what she's saying. So definitely, the
Yeah.
teacher should assume that
because
I'm
it is
the.
for the first time, so I just want that it should be very, child should get the benefit of all the feedback and everything, so that
Correct,
you
correct.
get a clear
So,
picture of
yeah.
this.
So we are also hoping that, like I was counting the time for you. So 25 minutes, if I finish the junior session, then the 5 minutes can be given to the chair and the Gurukul teacher to have a discussion. And once they're calibrated, the oral adjudication should ideally be given by the Ogli chair. Obviously, the teacher can also add on top of it.
Definitely. That's
Please.
pretty.
And it's like I said, it's a dry run to a tournament.
True.
Yeah, I'm hoping it will be a good experience for the children. That was the whole idea. So we said let's do it like a mini tournament. And thank you so much for graciously allowing us this, ma'am.
Oh, Ajri, it
I
was
can
all.
tell this is the fastest we've got. Everybody think, कि 5 days में change भी करा, and teachers like 10 of them are getting, it takes a lot longer.
Yeah,
But
definitely, Anjali. But it was, though it was a pretty short notice, but as we were looking forward for the format, and every year we used to get the, kind of these emails for Oakley and the prestigious participation, but we were pretty worried about the format this time. So we were just thinking that when we have good speakers, why not to work out with the formats as well?
No, absolutely. With your support, you will see the language change actually gradually.
Exactly.
So it's lovely. Thank you so much for making that happen. So with that, we could actually close the training, ma'am, and we'll circulate the recording. We will, Nitisha, on the deck, just add the speaker role expectation. So just as teachers who are hearing, you will know, okay, what have the children been trained on? Well, the first speaker should have given us 2 constructive arguments. The second should have given 2 more after identifying the clash. And the third should have, identified what the clash is. So she'll just add those pages as well when we circulate the deck. And the ballot forms in a bit once Afreen's back.
Great.
Lovely, ma'am. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Thank you, Anshul.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.